residents in it, it doesn't make sense to buy a $200,000 mannequin because every time you train your resident, it's almost $750 a pop, which is a lot of money. Yeah. This is an example that I took from a website of this company that actually was comparing different types of simulators. This is looking at a SimMan 3G. I think this SimMan 3G actually has a trauma torso in it because normally it's like 60 grand, this one's 95,000, so the only discrepancy I can find was that. And the real difference for $35,000 is that you can mimic a nick to the renal artery, and also you can mimic a slow bleed from the aorta. You can also do that with a balloon. So I don't know if $35,000 justifies it. Excuse me. Then you have, they're comparing that to the Vital Sim, which is a Megacode Kelly. It's just another word for somebody that can resuscitate a mannequin that doesn't have all the fancy nuances. And if you look at it, talk about installation per company, on-site training, and then extra staff time. Every time you train one student in a simulation case, it can cost $292 per student, which can be expensive too. You have to propose grants, you have to write budgets. Excuse me, you have to propose grants, you have to write budgets, and it does get expensive, it does get time consuming. And if you don't have a metric to compare before and after and what you're doing with simulation, people are not going to keep on giving you money for free. So it's actually something to consider. So in concluding, is simulation the future? I think 100% it is the future if applied appropriately. It's definitely an exciting field. I think the main thing you focus on is education, but if you can use the thought theory, it goes outside of the field of simulation and it actually can change the way you do residency education. A lot of medical education fellowships actually focus on a lot of these different topics too. So I think the most important thing is that residency, you learn more in a shorter period of time, and you have to deal with more differential diagnoses at a particular time. The technology is incredibly advanced, but the medicine is not advancing as fast as the technology. You have to account for whether or not that's actually something that would be beneficial for you. Do you need all this technology? Is it really helping you? For example, when you come into residency, you have a textbook, and then you have everything on the internet. You don't know what to use when you first start. So simulation can help to hone in on some of these things and teach you that. Another thing it can do is that it can take a MS4 and it can bring them into residency with a lot of expertise on particular cases, especially chest pain, CHF, so it is beneficial. With that, I conclude. Any questions? Sweet.
I have a question.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't get away with it.
Just go for it.
I was wondering on your thoughts. I think there's a lot of different kind of feelings about using simulation for evaluation of medical education.
Yeah.
So a lot of what you were talking about was specifically the education. I think that's how we use it specifically. But there's a lot of research and definitely on the program director side of using it to evaluate and to set metrics or maybe milestones based on that. So I was wondering if you think about that in terms of the future.
Yeah. The easiest way to use it as a way for proficiency and metrics is if you have a standardization, I think, in simulation. One of the things that we're actually going to start this next year is working with neurology with stroke codes. Excuse me. So I think if your hospital has a same framework set in place to evaluate residents on the same spectrum across all different types of residency programs, I think that's probably the most beneficial. So if you educate somebody in emergency medicine and somebody in neurology on how to grade somebody on the NIH stroke scale, how to recognize symptoms of stroke faster so that you can get to the CT scan faster, I think that you can use them for more performance evaluation in that regard. It's very tough because you can't limit the amount of variability. That's the hard part. The other part also is that no matter what you do in simulation, it's all going to be dependent on how much buy-in you get from the actual resident, him or herself, or the student, him or herself. If they don't buy into simulation, everything we just talked about just doesn't work. And if the person doing the simulation doesn't have that experience, it also doesn't work either. So long story short, I think it can be used for sure. And I think a metric is definitely applicable, but it has to be the most standardized form of education that you have in your institution. And I think from there you can find the variables and trickle down.
I think some of the controversy is actually just that SIM is supposed to be a safe place. And so if you start taking it out of safe place and something that people are going to be judged on, then it might change the perception of what that environment is.
Right.
As far as people are going about the conference.
Right, exactly. Yeah, so one of those things we actually do is, SIM is always a safe place, like you say, which is why it's actually gets so much yield from it. But one thing that people are actually doing is that they're actually just pretty much doing performance evaluations on just individual residents one at a time. That's one way you can try and mitigate that. It doesn't take away from that particular situation because you do have a negative connotation with that experience. You know, you're being judged in the setting of simulation, so the next time you go to a simulation, you say, oh, this is a safe place. All you're going to think about is that negative event. And that's part of actually one of the big problems that we actually have. When we try to do the simulation lecture series here, It's very hard to do a lecture series when you're taping a resident, going through sim live, and then you're chopping it up into 11 minutes, and then you're presenting it to a classroom. Everybody's like, oh, how can they not have given amiodarone? It's so clear cut. But you're not in the simulation for 55 minutes trying to really think about what's going on. But that's a very good point. I think it is very tough. I think it's something that's going to be a challenge for simulation, definitely always and forever, I think.
I just want to say, since next week we're doing oral boards is a form of cement, and it's not a safe place.
Right.
Judge.
Yeah.
And they're very clear about that, and it's not going anywhere either, and they're making it much more complicated for each year.
Right.
So, take the time where it's safe for those 5, 6 years, because, you know, it's really important to pass your oral boards the first time.
I agree 100%.
Is simulation ever utilized as a tool, not with the result in mind, which is to see what happens?
It is. I think the part that you realize that you get that the most is just, there's always going to be a result in mind. It's just a question of what the result's going to be. For most of the reasons for why we use it, it'll just be takeaway of educational to facts and tasks. I think that's like the biggest reason why it's being used right now, and that's why they're investing so much money into it, because they're looking at it in terms of the end goal of education and end goal of making proficient clinicians to be able to graduate and perform a very high standard of care. But I don't think there's ever, going back, I don't think there's ever been simulation where you don't have an end goal in mind, because if you have that, you won't be able to really make your critical action checklist. You always have to have some kind of goal in mind, no matter what it is. It can be a very simple goal, let's say getting a proficient HBI from somebody. You can do that. That's why we have to standardize patients in medical school. But I think you always have to have a goal, or else simulation won't really be as functional as it needs to be, because then it's very arbitrary and it's a little ambiguous and very hard to decipher what it is you can take away.